Shout out to Gonzalo Lira. Really interesting dude. So he did this video a couple days ago. Maybe, when was this? 24/16, a few days ago, about the concept of poisoning the well. And he brings up how, in the past, when there have been actual allegations of conspiracy, what ends up happening is all of a sudden you have this completely wild, off-the-hook conspiracy theory that goes around, completely sensational. It goes around, everybody latches onto it because it's sensational, and it basically undermines the actual legitimate allegations of of whatever the case may be. I think he brings up, you'd have to watch the video, he brings up something about the moon landing, and how, the fake moon landing stuff was a way to discredit people who had legitimate sort of concerns, because they fell for a planted conspiracy theory, in other words. And we're going to talk about this Dominion lawsuit real quick, this settlement. So, at the time of 2020, it was a very confusing time. And I remember when QAnon first came about in 2017 or so. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I remember my boy H.A. Goodman, a lot of people on he's still out there. A lot of people on his videos, on his live streams, would be talking about QAnon, and QAnon's this and QAnon's that. He's got, top secret clearance and all this. And H.A. Goodman, very smart dude, he said, you guys, this is nonsense, Now, in the beginning, my theory on it was this was just a troll of some sort. Could have been a kid somewhere. And it just took off. And it actually started in 2017. A lot of people probably don't realize that. And it persisted all the way through the Trump years. And then in 2020, we start really hearing about it. That's when the media starts to use it for their own purposes. So my original thought was this had to be some just random troll. And I think that's how it started. But then you have 2020 come around, and then you start having even before the election, you start hearing a lot about QAnon and these allegations about voting machines, Venezuela. I have a friend from Venezuela, and he would not shut up about this. I saw this very good article on one of my favorite news sites, Swiss Policy Research. And this was January 2021, updated March 2022, updated last year. Read the articles. Read the article. Look at the hyperlinks. They definitely have some very interesting points to make here. And so, what I think happened with this how this whole thing came about, this whole Dominion situation was an example of PR firms and those types of people, civilian spooks, basically. They could have had some help from government spooks, but it doesn't matter whether the spooks were in the government or whether they were PR people or, political guys like Podesta or whoever. They used QAnon and then created this whole, it looks like to me that they took, fake accounts that they already had online, on Twitter and places like that, probably on Reddit or 4chan, and they started transitioning them from alleged Russian hacker accounts or, Russian officials. They had all these fake accounts that were supposedly Russian officials, and they would push Russiagate stuff. And then they started transitioning to talking about QAnon. And then they started talking about all of these weird theories about the Kraken and all that. And then Sidney Powell got sucked into it, and a few other people got sucked into it. And the thing about Sidney Powell is she had just gotten finished with a very successful defense of Michael Flynn, and actually got Michael Flynn off in a very hostile court system, in the D.C. court system. And she was looking like a rising star in the Republican Party. And she's, she was a very good, as Robert Barnes says, she was a very good appeals lawyer, appellate lawyer. And she knew how to, do appeals. And she got sucked into this. And because she was already famous from this Michael Flynn trial, next thing you know, she's on Twitter talking about the Kraken, and she's on Fox News talking about the Dominion voting machines. And because of her notoriety and her inherent charisma, even though she doesn't look like much in this picture, she's very charismatic, very strong personality, someone who commands your attention when they talk, And she got a lot of other people sucked into it. And at the time, I was just hearing all of this, and I was just like, oh my God, what is going on? This can't be real. This can't be real. And what had ended up happening was it ended up taking away from the actual legitimate allegations surrounding the election, from the all of the rules changes and all of the other weird things going on, process changes, ballot harvesting, as Uncivil Law talked about that today. Basically, they poisoned the well. Who was behind it? I wouldn't be surprised if Podesta's election integrity people were behind it. But that's what the Dominion matter was. It was another example, and a very well executed example of poisoning the well. And if people want this stuff to stop, right? If people want this kind of stuff to stop happening, they have to be smarter, okay? This has happened before. Look at your historical examples and be ready for it, because they got you, they bamboozled you, okay? So that's what this whole thing was. I mean, really, Dominion was as much of a victim of the scam as Fox News was, and as Sidney Powell was. It ruined Sidney Powell's career. Basically, definitely tarnished Giuliani, although he's pretty old, so he's probably ready to retire. But that's what they did. They drowned out any serious accusations with this wild, sensational scandal that everybody fell for, that a lot of people fell for. This whole voting machine thing and all this. Even during the Arizona election recently, they were still talking about it. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I could give a shit less. So to me, it's just, all I can say is just be smarter, people. Be smarter, because they got you. Swallow your pride. Go take a humble pill and learn from it. But that's what they did. That's what the whole thing was. And now we finally have a resolution to it. They poisoned the well. Maybe even Rupert Murdoch himself was in on it. Maybe some people within Fox News and I'm sure some people in the Republican Party were also in on it. And that's all we heard about for a year after that, was QAnon this and QAnon that. It was obvious that they had essentially co-opted QAnon, these political actors and these lawyers like Podesta and Mark Elias and these people. Whoever started QAnon, I still tend to think it was a kid, but it got co-opted and it got used and it bamboozled a lot of people. Okay, so that was just my quick thoughts on the Dominion thing. You got played. A lot of people got played. Even smart people like Sidney Powell here. So that's it. I'm out.